Chapter 21, Bones in a Box. Tempestra smiled at me, then looked back at Mum. "Sorry, madam." She removed her tricorn hat and bowed low, then turned and poked a slender finger into the end of Grogber's nose. "We've been searching for this grottish little blunker for years." "Why?" Mum said with a quivering voice. "Who are you?" The pirate girl tucked her sword back into her belt, then reached up, grabbed Mum's hand and shook it. "I am Tempestra Plank, first mate on board the Blistered Barnacle," she said, pointing back at the ship. "The boy's right. My father is Captain Calamitous Plank, the scourge of the 7 sewers. This slug dropping," she pointed at Prince Grogber, "stole his most precious treasure, and we've come to take it back." Everybody oohed and ahed. There wasn't anyone in the magical world that hadn't heard of the wild adventures of Captain Plank. "Let me go," Grogber yelled, wriggling in the clutches of the pirate crew. "On second thoughts, I really don't know what you're chittering on about. I haven't got anything that belongs to you." "Where are they?" Tempestra snapped. "Haven't got a clue." "Where are my father's diamonds?" "Never heard of them," Grogber spluttered. "Tell us." The prince started squirming and twisting even harder so that the pirate struggled to keep hold of him. "I'll never tell," Grogber screamed, just as he jerked sideways and stepped into a shaft of moonlight that was slanting through the hole in the reception wall. Suddenly, the room was filled with hundreds of tiny stars, as something near the prince's head reflected the moonbeam in every direction. "Aha!" Tempestra marched over to Grogber and yanked the brooch off the front of his turban. "Got them." "No, my diamonds," Grogber whined as his enormous feather drooped and fell to the floor. "Stop snivelling," one of the crew members said to Grogber as he tied up the prince's hands and feet. Tempestra held the little treasure up to the light, and for the first time I saw that it wasn't a crescent moon-shaped brooch at all. It was a pair of diamond-encrusted false teeth. "Go and get Dad," Tempestra said to her crew, and 2 pirates ran back to the ship and climbed on board. Moments later they reappeared on the deck, lugging a wooden chest. "Heave-ho!" they chanted together, and threw the box down to the other crew members. "Wait a minute," my dad said, scratching his head. "Captain Plank is in there?" "Yes," said Tempestra, "in a treasure chest." "Yeah." "Well, let him out," Dad said, looking starstruck. He was a huge fan of the captain's stories, just like me. "It must be very uncomfortable. Would he like some tea?" Tempestra lifted the lid and everybody crowded round to look inside the box. "Oh my goodness," Mum gasped. "He's very skinny," the Molar sisters said. "He looks delicious," said Gladys Potts. She instantly sprouted fluffy white fur and turned into a poodle. I pushed through the huddle of guests, reached the edge of the wooden chest and looked inside. I said, "It's just bones," Dad finished my sentence. Had the crew of the Blistered Barnacle gone mad? Why on earth were they chasing Prince Grogber for all this time when their captain was a skeleton? Not even a skeleton, really, just a pile of bones with a toothless skull sitting on top. "Why do you think we needed the diamond dentures?" Tempestra said. "Watch." She reached inside the chest and carefully placed the glittering teeth into the skull's mouth. Blag! Quicker than a firework, the bones reassembled and we suddenly found ourselves staring into the empty eye sockets of a goblin skeleton, standing waist-high in a treasure chest. "What?" I said. "This isn't right." My brain started racing again. In my books, Captain Plank was a goblin with hair and skin and eyes, not a "Dad!" Tempestra threw her arms round the skeleton and roughly hugged it. Poofed! The skeleton spat the teeth back out in surprise, and hundreds of little bones clattered back into the box. Tempestra turned to face us with Captain Plank's skull in her hands. "Oops," she said, rolling her eyes. "See? This happens a lot." She bent down, picked the diamond dentures up off the floor, and placed them back between Calamitus's jaws. "What?" The bones were instantly a skeleton again. "Blimey, I've got a headache." "Dad," Tempestra said again, "welcome back." "Eh?" Captain Plank looked at his daughter. "Back? Where have I been?" The skeleton turned its head and noticed us all crowding round the treasure chest he was standing in. "Hello," Mum said. "We're thrilled to have you here," Dad joined in. "Who are you?" Captain Plank croaked. "What's going on?" Tempestra tapped Calamitous on his bony shoulder, then pointed to a mirror that was hanging on the nearby wall. The captain swivelled round to look at his reflection and stared for a moment. It's very hard to guess the emotions of a skeleton. Who knew eyebrows were so important? Oh, blunkers, I'd forgotten about the bone thing, he said. Just then a small growl from somewhere up above caught our attention. It wasn't a very loud growl, but it echoed off the broken walls, and even Captain Plank looked about, clacking his teeth. I turned and glanced up to the first floor landing, where the huge chunk of staircase had been smashed away. There, curling its little toes over the edge, was Gerp. "Gerp," Mum said, "what are you doing down here?" Clomp, 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 clomp. Something very large and very heavy was coming down the stairs from high above. "Oh no," said Dad. "Clomp, clomp, clomp, clomp." "Oh dear," Nancy mumbled under her breath. "I think all this noise might have woken your worst nightmare." Granny Regurgita rounded the last twist of the spiral staircase and grimaced down at us. She didn't say anything else at first, and just looked about at the smashed front door, tied up goblin prints, skeleton standing in a treasure chest, and pirate ship sticking through the wall. Then she fixed her copper eyes on me, Mum, and Dad. "Someone's got a whoopsie load of explaining to do."